Welcome to This Month in Behavioral Science, where we discuss the top behavioral science stories of the past month, or in this case, the past couple of months. In this episode, we'll be talking about December 2021 and January 2022. I'm Alex Moog, host of Behavioral Science Toolkit, and with me is Samuel Salzer, founder of Habit Weekly. How you doing, Sam?
Hi, Alex. It's great to be with you in this new year. I'm excited. So let's get into it. Let's get started.
Sure. Okay, so we always start with the Habit Weekly share of the month. So do you have something for us from the past couple months, Sam?
So I have one thing I think it will be perfect. And you will like me saying this because it's a Peloton case study that we have recently launched. And so it's a look into this number that I often see with Peloton. They claim to have 93% retention rate. That's kind of unheard of after 1 year. And if that maybe isn't fully true, there's definitely some truth there. And so there's been a really great case study that just came out on retention strategies and engagement strategies used by Peloton. And it's been kind of behind a little bit of a wall of the pro community in Habit Weekly. There's a kind of pro community that has access to it. But when this is going to be released, it's going to also be released for everyone. So it's going to be free to access. I don't know if you have anything to say about the case study.
Yeah, so for everyone out there, I didn't know he was going to be mentioning this, but I helped write that case study. And I'm very excited to learn that it's going to be out for the public. I can share it with everybody. So when this is out, I will add it to the description below so you can check it out. I think
I would say like Peloton, you're a little bit, humble here. Like I think saying that you're part of it, you're the creator of the case study. Let's say, let's be honest to say that you should get the credit you deserve. So yeah.
Well, thank you. I won't take credit on the visuals, but I will take credit on some of the the majority of the content. Peloton's a fascinating company. Recently they've had a bit of trouble on the business side, but in that case study, we explored the successes, the behavioral successes that they've had. Yeah. So why don't we give a little taste, right? So do you want to say what maybe one of the more fascinating pieces of behavioral design, behavioral science from Peloton, from your opinion?
I think as an underrated thing that Peloton really, really, really leverages is the basic stuff of just having something that is at home as a workout equipment that is actually also fun to use. Like it's kind of a combination of those two things, like having something that's like ridiculously easy, like it's salient, it's in your whatever place, garage, in your I was going to say kitchen, maybe not in the kitchen, but like in a living room or whatever place you placed it. Apparently, in the ads they have everyone using the Pelotons next to like in the middle of the living room, but maybe people don't do that. Anyway, it's going to be salient to a certain degree. It's going to be very easy to jump on. They do a great job, as you maybe would have mentioned, in terms of making it so that you can start for 5 minutes. You don't have to do a 6-hour workout. You can just do 5-minute workout and then build from there. And then, they make it so that each workout is also pretty fun.
Yeah, I 100% agree. All right, I'm going to share what I think they do really well.
Yeah.
So they have a huge variety of classes, right? So you can do any type of, mostly any type of exercise you want, any instructor, music taste, whatever, length, everything. And they do a really good job of capitalizing on that variety for challenges and for achievements and that sort of thing, right? So they have themed rides around holidays or Black History Month or whatever, and I think that their ability to create timed and themed achievements and challenges really should be used much more often, especially since everybody loves using badges and those sorts of things. I would love to see more ability to capitalize on their content to create more interesting ways to challenge people.
I see you, Alex. I see you.
I see you. If you want to know what that's about and you don't have a Peloton, then check out the case study. Something that's very topical, although we're about a month late, potentially talking about New Year's resolutions. But I think a month in, people might be starting to falter a little bit on their resolutions. So we could talk a little bit about habit change strategies for fresh starts, New Year's resolutions, those sorts of things. And as a habit expert, maybe you could give us a little bit of insight.
Yes, I'm going to give you the secrets so that you can turn any behavior into habit in seconds. No, sorry, that's not how it works. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the false promise there. But yeah, I love to talk about it. And again, to explain as well, if you haven't heard about the fresh start effect, it's an interesting finding where looking at certain temporal landmarks, as said in research, like certain times throughout our lives, we're more likely to give ourselves kind of a clean slate and start anew. And this kind of idea of a new year, new me is a good example of that, where there's nothing really happening from 31st of December to 1st of January. We're still the same person for the most part, but we create a story that allows ourselves to let go of whatever mistakes we made in the previous year and give us a new chance to be our best selves, perhaps in the new year. The good news is that even though, as you say, the time has passed in the sense that we're in February, it's really something we can do anytime in some ways to lesser or larger degree. We can say new day, new me to a certain degree. It's easier. It has a bigger effect often, seems like, where there's a more stronger temporal or moment in your life that kind of allows for that to happen. It's like if it's your birthday, if you get married, if you know, those kind of things creates for a better story, I think, to that, and allows for more of that narrative to set foot. But I know some people that are like extremely good at that. Like they're really good at like resetting things in certain times and being like, well, I had a bad morning, but I can still change things around. New afternoon, new me, you know. So I think that's quite interesting in itself, that we have that ability to create a story that gives us a clean slate. And yeah, I guess we can talk about more strategies that we can use beyond that as well. Do you have any favorites yourself?
So I'm in favor of structuring goals to be achievable, right? So I think a lot of people have an issue where for their New Year's resolution, it's like, I'm going to lose weight, right? Or I'm going to read more or something like that. And these are really not the best goals to make because they're so vague and difficult to achieve, right? And so my advice is always be as specific as you can about what you're going to do. So if you want to lose weight, maybe you'll either, that you could say, I'm going to completely cut out ice cream, or I'm going to cook a vegetable every time I cook dinner for myself on weekdays or something like that. Very specific and measurable goals. And to even make it better, you could do, when, with whom, how specifically, and reflect on what kinds of barriers there are in achieving those goals. So those are my big pieces of advice when people ask.
Great to hear. I honestly think that's one of the most underrated things is to become uncomfortably specific. And people have a huge version of like Dunning-Kruger effect of sort or whatever. Like they think they're being specific, but they're actually not. So as you can see here, we have these two people, and one of them has what I would say is the more common New Year's resolution, which is that they want to meditate. And so their resolution is that I'm going to allow myself space to meditate this year. And that seems for many people like a good goal. Like, I'm going to allow myself some space to meditate during the day. There you go. I've committed to doing that. But as you were alluding to, that's usually a pretty poor way to approach it. And interesting research on implementation intentions and other related things shows that just being really specific about what to do, when to do it, and where to do it, for example, and in what other contextual components, makes for a much, much more likely outcome that it will happen. Like you like at least 2 extra chances, if not maybe 4 extra chances of actually succeeding just by that thing. I'm quite confident to say that that's the case. So you can see the other person here saying that I will meditate using Headspace on weekdays at 12 p.m. for 10 minutes when it's my lunch break. So that for some people say like, wait, that's too specific. No. That's uncomfortably specific. Like we should be very specific. And then as you can see underneath, as you mentioned as well, she has added, if I have a lunch meeting, I will meditate during my afternoon coffee break. So she's even squeezed in an if-done plan as well. So I think if people just start in that way, they can forget about some of the more fancy strategies, like, whatever nudges they want to put into their lives. A lot of the battle is already won by having that clarity, because especially when it comes to building habits, the key thing is consistency. In helping our brain turn something that's manual to automatic, we have to almost communicate to it like it's a toddler rather than Einstein. And so we got to make sure that our brain knows that when I'm at this time, at this place, or after having done this thing, I always do this. And if we're not clear about that, we're going to keep our brain guessing, and those habits will never really form. So that's why also for habits, this is really valuable.
I love the term uncomfortably specific, and I might have to put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Can you send me one as well?
Of course, yeah. No, I love it because it really gets at the idea, right? Like people don't want to act like at a subconscious level, people who have to make these plans at a subconscious level don't really want to do the thing, right? That's the lazy part of their brain. And so that's what's making them uncomfortable, right? They're like, oh, well, what if this happens and then I can't do it? And but if you're uncomfortably specific, then you have no real room for those, justifications of not doing the behavior, right? Okay. Should we talk about Wordle?
I was waiting for you to ask, Alex.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know Wordle, which maybe you're either not on like academic Twitter, it's been like blowing up my Twitter every day, or you've been living under a rock or something, I don't know. But basically, it's this new word game that came out, I guess, a couple months ago. That
a year ago. It was funny. It came out a year ago.
It came out a year ago.
Yeah.
And
so the funny thing is that it came out a year ago, but they only enabled the sharing feature, I think, 2 months ago.
Oh, and that's
so
when it blew
those
up.
Weird emoji boxes that you can like easily copy and paste. That function I think was created about 2 months ago.
So do you know if that's when it blew up, or if everyone
Yes.
was doing it and they just weren't showing?
No, that's when it blew up, because then people started to see like, what are these random emojis people are sharing on their Twitter feeds? What is this thing? Maybe I should check it out. And then so there's some good behavioral lessons in there.
Yeah, so let's talk about the behavioral design of Wordle, which I think is mostly unintentional because the person who made it, just made it for his wife or his girlfriend and not for the masses. So I think this is a pretty fascinating game in that sense.
Yeah. Are you good? What's your streak?
Well, okay. Well, I don't know. My current streak is maybe five days. I've messed up once, and I've been doing it for a few weeks. But I'll give a brief explanation of the game, and then we can talk about some of the behavioral design around it. So it's a game that happens once a day. It's on a website, which I will link, or I'll put it on the screen. I'll show you some Wordle stuff. So it happens once a day where there's one word that you're trying to guess. It's in English at the moment. I don't know if there are other languages. But basically, you have 6 chances to guess a 5-letter word. And each time you put in a word, you enter a word, it tells you if each letter is either in the word and not in the right place, or in the word and it is in the right place, and all the other ones go blank. And you have 6 chances to try to guess the word. So that's the basic idea. So Sam, are you good? Are you pretty good at this game, or have you been playing much?
I like to think that I'm great. I don't know how good I am actually. That's the thing. You can't really compare yourself too much, other than seeing what other people post on Twitter. But I think, a streak now of, I think it's 21 days or almost 30 days. So it's definitely become part of for me, what's fascinating is that given that it has this feature that stops you from doing it more than once a day, and it unlocks at the turn of, at 12 a.m. every midnight, it unlocks. It's often the first thing I want to do in the morning. I kind of wake up, pretty early part of my morning involves opening Wordle and solving a new one. So it's definitely part of my morning routine these days. And I think what's probably made me, and I probably speak for a lot of people here, what's interesting, like what made me stick to it is that it has this built-in limitations. If it was unlimited from the start, I would probably use a lot for one day, and then I would kind of get tired of it a little bit. But now it's like it's kept my interest going, and yeah, I think for me, we'll see how long it lasts. But I'm really enjoying it, and I think it has this really interesting combination of it being, I guess, hard enough so that you feel smart if you solve it, but easy enough so that you solve it most of the times in enough tries. Like it's quite good balance there. Like it's very hard to like completely fail. Even if you just do like the most random things, you're pretty much forced to in the end have the right word towards the end for the most part. And then especially when you learn the strategies a little bit more, then you're pretty much guaranteed to solve it out in the end. And so you have that good combination of like, if you solve it really quickly, you feel really smart, but you never really feel like you're stupid because you solve it at some point in the end. So yeah.
No, there's a lot of good pieces there, right? So the one a day thing, I think, is very key, like you said. One, because you can't binge on it, and so it prevents you from getting tired quickly. But I think it helps with the social aspect, right? Because everybody is doing the same word every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so when you share it and you get a grid and you say like this, it took me this many words, it actually lets you compare with the other people who are also doing it that day because they know what the word is if they've done the Wordle.
Yeah. And if it's like a word that you didn't know existed and you got it in 2-3 tries, you can be like, look at me, guys. my social status just went through the roof because I solved this impossible thing in 3 attempts.
Yeah, so I think that's a big part of it is the scarcity of the content, which you don't see much, right? Although there are mobile games that it takes days to do anything, and you have to wait, and that kind of creates an addictive cycle. This kind of prevents
like Farmville kind of thing.
Yeah, like a Farmville type game. The way that this game is structured, because it's not for profit and it's someone's labor of love, you're not being exploited, or it's completely free game, and I think that also adds to like sort of like a wholesome aspect to the game as well.
Yeah, it does. Or maybe if you want to say conspiracy theory, maybe we're used for some form of AI training labor. Maybe all of this is just a tool to, in the same way as CAPTCHA is a tool to train robots, maybe this is a more advanced version of that, and we're just creating our own destruction through this 5-letter word puzzle.
A cynic would say such a thing, Sam.
I wanted to, before we wrap up, ask you one thing that's quite important. And so the last one we did, you talked about conspiracy theories regarding Spiderman. I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I'm predicting you must have seen it because you were really keen on it. So what did you think? Was it worth the hype?
Well, I loved the movie, and I don't want to spoil anything, although I'm sure.
Come on, people.
If you haven't seen it by now,
you're warned. Okay, now you can spoil.
Okay, yeah. Spoiler alert. Okay. I think my main, obviously, all of the things that I mentioned did come to pass in the movie. And I think one of the reasons I was skeptical that it was going to happen is because Andrew Garfield, one of the Spider-Men, was so adamant in every interview about how he was not in the movie. And it just turns out he's a fantastic liar. And he was just having fun with us.
Heard of acting, Alex?
A bit of acting, yeah. He's fantastic. Fantastic actor.
I'm joking. Yeah. Wait, so do you think that... because I guess, I don't know if you saw it in cinema as well, but I saw it in cinema, and when you saw, I think it was him, the first one you saw probably, or maybe it was the other one. Anyway, people went crazy in the cinema. People used to start erupting and be like, whoa, like really, really excited about it. Do you think, because in some ways everyone knew, right? Everyone had a think like this is probably going to happen. So what do you think about that kind of little bit of like, you think it's going to happen, but then having that confirmed as well?
Well, I'll say I went at 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, and I was literally the only one in the theater.
Oh, wow.
I was really excited.
Did you clap? Did you scream?
No. But if I was in a theater with a bunch of people who were also doing it, I probably would have, because, social norms and whatnot. But, yeah, I mean, I think the whole anticipation of it really increases the enjoyment of the movie for people who are in on the anticipation. Yeah. And it's, at those moments, it's like, you're sort of expecting it, but it's also a surprise because you're not 100% sure. It's the uncertainty. And I think we mentioned in that last episode that surprise is really, really integral to having strong emotions. And so that surprise really brings out, really brought out in the people at your movie theater, your cinema, that huge emotion.
What about, sorry for interrupting you there.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think about the case where they wouldn't have teased that at all? Like, sure, there would have maybe been rumors, but what if they never teased it in the trailer? You didn't have the name multiverse, and then all of a sudden you see Tobey Maguire. Like, how would you compare that? Do you think that would be better? People would enjoy it more, or enjoy it less?
My prediction is that actually it probably, people wouldn't be like screaming in the theater. They'd be really confused at first. And then on a reflection afterwards, they'd be like, wow, that was pretty cool that they did that, Mm-hmm. Like if you had no expectation of that. But of course, this all has to do with like, are you a fan of Spider-Man movies and Marvel movies and that sort of thing? Or do you just like not care? You're like, okay. Yeah. What do you think? What's your...
Yeah, it's an interesting one, actually. I think you get more of like a stronger, probably mixed emotional reaction, as you say. It might not be the same type of elation because you kind of have anticipated something, you're looking forward to something, and you have that release of it. It would probably more of like a shock than just a elation thing, which could maybe be even more memorable. But yeah, there's only one way to find out. They have to now, in a parallel universe, send us data on, in another multiverse, they have to send us data on if they run that movie without telling people. Do you see the meta thing I did there? Yeah.
Yeah. So let's, everybody put your money into multiverse research, and we can do this experiment. Yeah.
Find Doctor Strange.
Yes. Okay, so to learn more about anything discussed in this episode, check out the links in the description. To keep up with all things behavioral science, be sure to subscribe to this channel and to the Habit Weekly newsletter. And if there are any important topics you think we missed this month or anything you're looking forward to next month, let us know in the comments below, and see you next time.
See you next time. And next time, Alex, you might be in a very different context, so maybe let's keep that as a cliffhanger. See where will Alex be next time we speak.
If you want to know, come back in next month.
Yes.
All right. Bye, Sam.
Thanks, Alex. Nice talking to you again. Take care.